or welcome back to my channel, Stitch in Style by me, Nadia. And today I'm going to do a review of my Make 9 for 2022 and a look ahead at my Make 9 for 2023. 2022 was the second time I've done a Make 9. So I also did one in 2021 and I think I completed 5 makes from my 2021 Make 9, and 2022 I managed to improve that. I actually completed 6 of the patterns, but I'm going to count 2 of them as also complete because of the idea behind me choosing that pattern for the Make 9. Now this is in no particular order of when I actually completed the garments, but the first one I'm going to talk about is the Lydia Naomi chillax sweatsuit. And this might be actually, well, it's definitely my most worn make of 2022 and it might actually be my favourite. I really enjoy wearing the joggers and the hoodie. It's so comfortable, I throw it on all the time. As you can see in this picture here, I have worn it while I am running, if I'm feeling under the weather, if I just want to be really comfortable. That was a huge success and I love it so much. I've actually got the fabric to make another one this year, so I'm really excited about getting another one sewn up. I did make a couple of tweaks to the jogger part of the sweatsuit. So at the bottom on the joggers it tells you to turn it up and insert some elastic, which I did, but I found it was a little bit too tight and a little bit too short on my leg, so I ended up removing the elastic, taking the bottoms down and then adding some ribbing on the bottom, and I like the finish of that and I'm going to keep that for my next one. So the Winslow culottes I did, and this was part of the outfit that I chose to wear for my sister's wedding, and I'll put a picture of me up now in those, and I love this pattern. I do want to make some more, although I think next time I will do the elasticated hack and do an elasticated waist instead, just to make them a little bit more relaxed and casual. So that was another hit from me. Moving on to the Cielo top, this is by Closet Core Patterns. I was really excited to make this top. I absolutely love a big sleeve, and this has a lovely big lantern sleeve, and I was really excited to try it, and I made it in a double gauze fabric. Now I don't think I have a photo to show you, unfortunately, because I had a few fitting issues with this top. I found that the bust dart sat too low, and it just didn't fit my bodice very well. Now this was quite early on in the year. In fact, it was the first one that I made out of my Make 9, and so I'd not really got to grips with doing bust adjustments and things like that. So it might be that I needed to do either a smaller size or a small bust adjustment, move the bust dart and make quite a few tweaks to that pattern so it would fit me, and I didn't really have the expertise at the time to know how to fix it. Although I loved the sleeves on the top, I didn't like the fit on the bodice. Now I did undo everything and try and fix it, but what's happened is I moved everything up on the top at the shoulder seams, but it means that the neckline here is sitting too high up and it kind of moves back as I'm wearing it, so it's not very comfortable at all. Now it might be that that was just my experience, and I've actually looked through other people talking about the top and nobody has said the same thing. So I think this is probably just a me issue rather than there being like a wider issue. And I did actually wonder whether it was my cutting out or my sewing or something to do with the fabric, because I did do it in a double gauze and I know that double gauze can stretch out. So I compared it to the pattern pieces, and the pattern pieces were exactly the same size as the fabric pieces. So I don't think it was actually my cutting out, and I just think the pattern didn't suit my body shape. Now I'm not going on to do the changes to it, and I probably won't, to be honest. I might take the sleeves from that pattern and put them on another bodice that does fit me better, so that is an option for me. Next on the list, and this is one that I'm counting that I've done because on my Instagram post I did make it clear that I wanted to do a dress for a wedding, and I was undecided on the pattern, but maybe a hacked Liberty pattern, which is the Alexa frill dress. So I was already doubting whether it was going to be that. Now the features that I'd like on the Liberty dress is that it's high neck, and I like the ruffle as well, and I like the length of the sleeves and the ruffle on the sleeves, and it's quite a slim fitting bodice, and I think it's a gathered skirt, and I do like all of those features on the pattern, but I wanted a maxi dress, and I thought with it being a maxi dress that I wanted, I didn't want it also to be high necked at the same time. So I ended up doing my favourite to date dress pattern, which is the Hinterland dress, and I did it in this lovely viscose fabric. So I'll put a picture of me at the wedding in the dress. Now for those of you who followed my vlogs last year, you'll know that I wasn't very happy with the fit of the dress at the back. I really needed a little bit more of a sway back adjustment. The back bodice sat a little bit too low. The front bodice was perfect. Now I have actually made that change to that dress. I was also thinking with that dress about taking it up slightly just to make it a little bit more casual. But once I'd fixed the bodice at the back and I tried pinning it at different places, I actually decided to keep it the length it was. So yeah, I really like that dress, and I'll definitely be wearing it again this summer. Oh, I should also mention that I took the sleeves from the sagebrush top and lengthened them, and those were the ones that I put on the Hinterland bodice. So yeah, it's a little bit of a hacked style, and I also, did I put a frill on it? I think I also put a frill on it. Yeah, it did have a tear on the bottom as well, and looking back at the photos, actually I'm really happy with the outfit and how I looked on the day of the wedding. I actually just got a little bit distracted looking at the photos and going down memory lane, but let's get focused back onto the makes. The next one on my make 9 was the Freya top, and I love the Freya top. It's one of my favourite tops. I made a Freya top quite recently in a mini leopard print. Now the next on my list was the Heather blazer, and I absolutely loved this make. I made it in a purple linen fabric, and I've worn it a few times out and about, and yeah, it's a really big success. I actually, when I made it, I used my clapper for the very first time, and that made the collar much easier than I think it would have been otherwise, and I got a really nice press on that, and I'm really happy with how the lapel and everything went on it. The only little thing that I found tricky was closing the lining, and I didn't have much patience for it. That make was kind of just a practice, really. I just wanted to see what the fit was like and everything, so I do plan to make the heather blazer again, hopefully this year. I just love the oversized style of the blazer. Next on my list is the Helen's Closet Yanta overalls, and I've made 2 pairs, and since I've made both of them, I've dyed them both black, and I do wear them both all the time. One has white top stitching and one has red top stitching. The one with the white top stitching is a little bit more untidy than the one with the red, because I hadn't intended the white top stitching to show, and obviously it does on black fabric. So yeah, it does look a little bit untidy, but I still wear it around the house and everything. So, and I love that pattern. It fits really nicely. The first one I put in the invisible zip at the side seam, but I decided I didn't need it to get it over my hips. So the next one that I made, I left out the invisible zip. The next pattern that I really wanted to make was the Sandpiper swimsuit, and that is actually definitely on my list to make this year, because we're going away on a beach type holiday in May for the first time in over 10 years. So that will be very exciting, and I want to do quite a few makes for my holiday, including a couple of Sandpiper swimsuits. And I really like the fact that it's a 2-piece, but it's got plenty of coverage, which is ideal for me. Now, I do a lot of swimming. I swim, well, I try to swim twice a week when I'm not feeling under the weather, but I don't think I'd wear this when I go to the pool. I prefer an all-in-one to swim in, but I think when I'm going on a beach holiday, I think I'd prefer a 2-piece. And the final one was the Cali shirt. And like with the last make, I do intend to make the Cali shirt this year. I actually have the pattern pieces printed out, so I just would need to stick them together. As you may know, if you've watched my vlogs, I have tried the Helen's Closet Cameron button up, which I think was released later in the year. So, and that, because that is a gender inclusive pattern, I decided on making that one instead. I made a version for myself as part of a challenge where we were using fabrics we already had, and that was kind of very much a practice garment, and I didn't get the collar quite how I wanted it. But then later in the year I made my husband a version, and as a surprise for our anniversary, and it was a huge success. I was really happy with how that turned out, and he's really happy with the shirts as well. So definitely more shirts this year. Hopefully I will get round to doing the Cali shirt too. I think that is actually a big success for the Make 9. I really enjoyed thinking about what I was going to make. I really enjoyed the planning stage of it, and I really enjoyed having that to go back to. Sometimes when I was maybe feeling like a little bit overwhelmed by the number of patterns I have, by the number, you know, by the amount of fabric that I have, and by all the things that I want to sew, sometimes you can be so overwhelmed by that you actually come to a standstill and you can't think of what to make because there's so many things that you want to do. So this was a really good thing just to go back to when I was feeling like that and thinking, well, if I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I can go back to my Make 9 and choose a project from there that I'd like to sew. I think it's a really useful tool. I really like it. So I'm definitely doing one again for this year, and I've made my choices, so I will just talk you through those. But first, I did want to mention that the Running So and So did a little bit of an alternative to a Make 9. So if you weren't wanting to participate in Make 9, then there was kind of 3 things that you wanted to focus on this year, which I also did, because I think it's good to not only just focus on what you want to make, but also your intentions in making for the year ahead. So I had a bit of a think about that as well. So my first goal for this year is to focus on what I want to wear. Now, I do like to make dresses, but I often find myself reaching for separates. So maybe I should make fewer dresses. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to totally forget about dresses, because there are quite a few dresses on my Make 9, and there are a few other dresses that I want to make as well. But I want to be focused on what I want to wear as well, and think about gaps in my wardrobe. The second on my list is to make basics and clothes in colours like black and white without fear of being too boring, because I love like patterned and coloured clothes on when I look at them on other people, but I know myself there are certain colours that I like to wear, and there's certain colours that I don't enjoy wearing, and if I make clothes in the colours that I want to wear, then yeah, it goes back to my first goal. I'm more likely to wear them. And the third is to be a pattern repeater if I want to be. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I have to move on and do a new pattern, whereas if I put a lot of work into making patterns fit my body, especially because I often need to do quite a few tweaks to patterns to make sure that they fit me. If I've done those, and sometimes I do a practice and then I feel like, oh, now I can't make the version in the fabric that I want to make, because yeah, I need to move on to the next pattern, or I need to share something different. So I'm just going to maybe like have a look at the patterns that I've already done a lot of work on, I reach for in my closet, I enjoy wearing, and yeah, really use those as well. So with that said, that brings me to the first one of my Make 9 for 2023, and this is a pattern I made last year, and I had to do a few tweaks on the final version to make it fit. So I will need to do a little bit of work on the pattern pieces just to make sure that it's exactly how I want it. But I'm talking about the Greta dungarees by Made My Wardrobe, and this is a really good pattern. I really like the finished garment. It's really relaxed, comfortable, and I just love the style of them. So that's one that I want to go back to and make another version of. The next on my list is one of the dresses that I really liked out of the Fibre Mood magazine that I bought last year, and I want to try and use the patterns that I already have, and this is the dress that I have been thinking about for quite a few months that I want to make. Now, I don't have the material that I want to make this in yet. I want something quite structured, I think, to make this dress. You can't see it very well on this picture here, so I will put up the line drawing of the pattern. So it's got buttons down and it's on a diagonal, quite high necked and quite slim fitting. And I think with this dress, a new skill that I'm going to learn is covered buttons, because I want to do the covered buttons. Now there are quite a few buttons and buttonholes on this dress, so that's going to be the little bit of challenge there, but I'm really excited about making this dress. So the next on my list is also a dress, and I've wanted to make this pattern for a very long time actually. I know it's a favourite among the sewing community. It's the Yellow wrap dress by Named Clothing, and I'm sure you already know the pattern. It's got quite a unique style, and you kind of wrap it around to fit. Now you can do the dress or the jumpsuit, and I think I'm going to do the dress version. Not 100% decided, but I think I'm going to do the dress. That's with the knit fabric. I'm also undecided on what fabric I'm going to use, and I'm also undecided on the length of the dress that I'm going to make. So a few decisions there that I have to do. Now the next one on my list is a rollover from last year. I talked earlier about the Sandpiper swimsuit by Helen's Closet, and it's a two-piece and how I want to make it again, so it's rolled over from last year to this year and definitely on my Make 9. The next on my Make 9 is the Ilford jacket by Friday Pattern Company. I have got the fabric I want to use. It's a black and white check brushed cotton. The next on my list has only just been released by Lydia Naomi. Now, I have made her shellac sweatsuit last year, that was on my Make 9, and this year I want to make the Celeste frock. As soon as it was released, I looked at it and thought, oh yes, I really like the style of that dress. So I bought it while it was still on the introductory discount, and you can see it's quite a fitted dress, and it's got these overlocked seams that are exposed, so you are supposed to see the seams on the dress, and I really like that feature. I've not really seen anything in this kind of shape or style before on a sewing pattern, so I think it's a really unique dress, and I'm really looking forward to learning some of the techniques that she uses in the exposed seams. The tricky thing about that dress maybe is just to get the fit right, because it's so fitted, and I want to make sure that the underbust seam, because that's the version I think I'll do rather than the keyhole opening, you need to make sure that that sits exactly in the right place, so hopefully I'll be able to get that done. So the next on my list is the Saltwater slip dress by Friday Pattern Company. It's a lovely dress, quite simple, and I have already made this dress last year and I loved it. I did have a little bit of a disaster with the scissors on this dress, and I had a hole in the front, and I also probably need to tweak the sizing on the pattern piece, because it was a little bit too big just at the top, and I think it's just going to be perfect for when I go on holiday. So that's one that I'm really looking forward to getting made up again. The next on my list is the Dawn jeans by Megan Nielsen, and some of you may know that I've booked to go on a jeans making workshop in February, and the pattern that I chose was this pattern, the Dawn jeans, so that's going to be hopefully one ticked off in February. I can't wait to get stuck into jeans making. The final thing on my Make 9 is a top. Yeah, I thought I have to put a top on here, and I really love a blouse. Also in the spirit of using patterns that I already have, I have the Fibre Mood magazine that this top was in, and it's the ermine blouse, which I think is really pretty. It has a diagonal yoke seam and some gathering at the front, and it's a button-up blouse, and yeah, I absolutely love it. Thanks so much for watching today, and hopefully I'll be back very soon with my recent makes vlog. So I'll see you then. Bye!